Back in the year 2000, EA released a little game called The Sims. 10 years, 2 sequels, and over a dozen expansion packs later, the people behind the best-selling PC game of all time took a moment to reflect on a decade of simulated suburbia.
What The Sims did is it sort of turned the equation upside down. It gave the, if you will, the authorship to the player. They get to decide what they're going to do, and then they go do it. And there's no real score as a consequence of that. It's really different than most anything ever has been created in our entire industry.
It's the biggest PC franchise ever, and I think it really kind of took Electronic Arts down a new path.
You can't predict phenomenons. You can hope, and certainly we all had hopes it was going to be successful, but I don't think there's anyone that anticipated that the game would be as successful as it has ultimately been.
Dag, dag.
Lovey.
Surprisingly, The Sims started out being more about architecture than people.
Well, originally The Sims, was very focused on the architecture, and so we put these little simulated people in there, and we had to make the people very robust in a way to where we could put them in any situation, and they would behave fairly appropriately to that situation. Eventually, the people were working so well, better than we thought they would, that they become far more interesting than the architecture, right off the bat.
Perhaps the most noteworthy aspect of the Sims phenomenon is its unusually large female player base.
I think the coolest thing about The Sims was that the audience that it attracted. It's about 50-50 male-female now, and I think that that's something that's pretty unique in our industry. And I honestly see it as a reflection of the people who are behind the scenes. I think The Sims had one of the most diverse development teams that we've got.
About 40% of the team were female, which, I remain convinced that the only way to get games that really attract more women players is to have women, creating the games. Also, it was just an extraordinary, time in the industry. People were moving on to the web, communities were forming, and everybody on the team, I think was very interested in how do we serve the community, as opposed to how do we just ship a big, game and make a lot of dollars on that. I think the entire game team was focused on how do we make something that the community is going to embrace, feel empowered by, and take off in cool, unexpected directions.